He's got $1.4 million in the bank, retired 3 years ago. And yesterday, he spent 40 minutes at the grocery store comparing detergent brands to save $1.20. And this isn't some isolated case. One man turned down a trip for his 40th wedding anniversary because the flight was too expensive. His portfolio, $1.8 million. His wife died 2 years later. They never took the trip. Another person spent his whole life saying, "When I retire, I'm gonna." Then retirement finally came money, time, freedom, and he realized he couldn't pull the trigger on anything. And maybe you know that feeling too. Going out to dinner and calculating whether it was worth it. Waking up at 3 in the morning to check your portfolio even when it's up. Feeling guilty after spending $50. That's not frugality, that's a prison. And the worst part? It's a prison built brick by brick over 40 years of real discipline. If you saw yourself in this or someone you love, what I'm about to show you over the next 14 minutes could change the way you see the rest of your life. This isn't weakness, it isn't insanity, it's neuroscience, and there's a way out. Before anything else, you need to understand something. This behavior isn't rare, it isn't eccentric, it's systematic. A study from the Employee Benefit Research Institute followed American retirees with more than $500,000 in assets over a 20-year period. What they found was shocking. Most of them still had more than 80% of their portfolio untouched when they died. 80%. They spent their whole lives accumulating wealth and never unlocked the permission to use it. Vanguard published similar data. Conservative retirees spend, on average, only 2.1% of their portfolio each. Meanwhile, the safe withdrawal rate, the number financial planners themselves consider sustainable, is 4%. They're spending half of that. The money is there, but the behavior never changes. So this isn't a math problem, it's a mindset problem. And here's the analogy that's going to run through this entire video. Think of your financial brain like a thermostat. It got calibrated to a certain temperature, scarcity, fear, survival over decades. Then the environment changes, the money finally shows up, but the thermostat is still set to cold. So it keeps pumping heat even when it doesn't need to. And here's what nobody tells you. You don't reset a thermostat just because the seasons change. You have to recalibrate it intentionally. There's actually a name for this. Researchers call it wealth accumulation identity. When someone's identity becomes so fused with saving and accumulating that spending money, any spending at all, starts to feel like an existential threat. But where does that thermostat come from? That's where this gets really interesting. Brad Klontz is a financial psychologist who spent decades studying what he calls money scripts, the unconscious beliefs about money we carry around without even realizing it. And his most important finding is this. Those scripts are usually formed before the age of 7. Then they keep driving behavior all the way into your 70s, 80s, even 90s. 7 years old. You could barely read. And your nervous system had already formed a belief about money. For the generation that's now 60, 65, 70 years old, people born between 1945 and 1960, the environment that shaped those beliefs was intense. A lot of them had parents or grandparents who lived through the Great Depression. Then came the stagflation of the 1970s. Inflation hit 13%, unemployment reached 10%, and the housing market collapsed. By 1980, interest rates in the United States had climbed to 20%. 20%. If you had a mortgage back then, you know what it feels like to be terrified of losing everything. That fear didn't disappear. It got encoded. The human brain has a system called the amygdala, the part responsible for processing emotional threats. When you live through real scarcity, the amygdala learns something very simple. Money leaving equals danger. And that lesson doesn't magically go away when your bank account changes. It stays active like an alarm system that never got turned off. But wait, if the money's there, why does the alarm keep going off? Because the alarm doesn't read bank statements, it reads patterns. And the pattern it learned was scarcity. Dear friend, we're getting really close to hitting 1,000 subscribers. And honestly, that makes me really happy. Our goal is to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if this video is helping you in any way, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. Help us hit that goal and become part of this community. Really appreciate it. Here's what this looks like in real life. A 68-year-old man, I'll call him Robert, built a net worth of $1.2 million after 40 years working as an engineer. He saved 22% of his paycheck every single month starting at age 28. Real discipline, real sacrifice. Then Robert retires. The portfolio is there. His advisor tells him you can comfortably spend $4,000 a month for the rest of your life. Robert spends $1,800. He shares an old car with his wife. Turns down trips to see his grandkids because the flights are too expensive. That's not a money problem. That's a thermostat stuck on cold. Now, at this point, you might be thinking, okay, but what if he's scared of the market? What if 2008 changed him? That's real too. And that's the second layer of this. In 2008, the S&P 500 dropped 57%. 57%. Someone with $800,000 in October of 2007 was down to $344,000 by March of 2009 in just 17 months. And for someone who was 5 years away from retirement or already retired, that wasn't just a financial event. It was proof that the danger was real, proof that the fear made sense. And here's the cruel paradox. The market fully recovered within 4 years. Anyone who stayed invested by 2013 had more money than they did in 2007. But the trauma of 2008 stayed. The thermostat got recalibrated even colder. Then came 2020, a 34% drop in 33 days, followed by a full recovery in 5 months. New trauma, even tighter wiring. And there's another layer underneath all of this too. There's a point where healthy frugality crosses a line. The Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, 5th edition, the diagnostic manual used by American Psychiatry, officially recognizes hoarding disorder as a real clinical condition. Financial hoarding is the money version of that, compulsive accumulation that continues even when there's no rational reason for it, often combined with real emotional distress and serious relationship conflict. Here are some concrete signs. Refusing medical treatment the portfolio could easily afford without blinking, feeling physical anxiety while checking account balances even when the numbers went up. Constant fights with a spouse or children over denying basic spending. Being unable to plan vacations or life experiences, even the ones you genuinely want. This isn't weakness, it isn't greed, it's an alarm system that never received the signal that said, you're safe now. And the problem is, nobody talks about this. The financial advisor talks about asset allocation, the accountant talks about taxes, but almost nobody asks the real question. How do you actually feel when you spend money? Let's make this real. 2 scenarios, see which one hits home. Scenario A, $600,000 in your portfolio, 67 years old, retired for 2 years. You saved responsibly. You're getting $2,200 a month from Social Security Administration. Your portfolio safely generates another $1,800 a month within the 4% safe withdrawal rate. That's $4,000 a month total. Your actual expenses, $2,600. So every month, you've got $1,400 left over and you don't know what to do with it. So you let it sit there. Keep accumulating. 2 years later, your portfolio is actually bigger than when you retired. And the thought probably running through your head is, better save it. What if I need it? But here's the question your advisor almost never asks. Need it for what specifically? Long-term medical care? Long-term care insurance exists for that. A family emergency? An $80,000 emergency fund covers almost any realistic scenario for years. The fear stays vague because it doesn't have a target, and fear without a target has no solution, only paralysis. Scenario B, $1.5 million in your portfolio, 71 years old, married for 40 years. You and your spouse always dreamed about spending a month in Europe after retirement, after the kids grew up, after the market stabilized. Well, now you're 71. The market is stable, the kids are grown, and you still haven't gone. The financial industry wants you to believe the biggest risk is spending too much. Because when you spend money, AUM, assets under management, the money advisors manage and charge fees on goes down. But the real risk, the one nobody puts into the spreadsheet, is something else entirely. Researchers at Stanford University call them the go-go years, the first 8 to 10 years of retirement when your health, energy, and mobility still allow you to fully experience life. After that come the slow go years. You can still do things, but with more limitations. And after that come the no-go years. You probably have somewhere between 5 and 8 go-go years left. Not as criticism, just as biological reality. And the trip you keep postponing for one more year may end up costing more than the plane ticket. It may cost the version of you that's still capable of taking it. You don't need a complete life overhaul. You need 4 concrete actions. Step 1, name the thermostat. Write this sentence down on paper, not on your phone. Money has always meant to me. Do it before you watch another video. Research shows that simply verbalizing a money script can reduce its power over future behavior by 30 to 40%. This isn't therapy, it's mental hygiene. Step 2. Create a permission fund. Set aside a separate account. Maybe it's $500, maybe it's $5,000, with one rule only. That money is meant to be spent on experiences. No guilt, no justification. Giving, spending its own name and its own account, lowers anxiety because your brain understands the main fund is still untouched. Step 3, take the deathbed test. Here's the question. If you knew you had 5 healthy years left, what would you do differently next week? Write down 3 things. Then pick one of them and schedule it within the next 30 days. A trip, a dinner, a visit, one real thing with a real date attached to it. Step 4, change the conversation with your advisor. At your next meeting, don't ask about returns. Ask this instead. Given my current situation, what's the actual long-term cost of me spending an extra $500 a month over the next 10 years? Make them run the simulation. Most advisors will show that the portfolio survives comfortably, and seeing the actual numbers changes the way the brain perceives risk. These aren't abstract ideas. They're documented behavioral intervention. Try one. Anyone. Let's go back to the question we started with. Why would someone with $1.4 million spend 40 minutes comparing detergent brands to save $1.20, not because they're stupid, not because they're cheap, because their thermostat was set to cold for decades and it never got the signal that winter was over? And here's the part nobody really has an incentive to tell you. The financial industry makes money from assets under management. The more money you keep invested, the more they earn. There's no financial incentive for an advisor to sit across from you and say, spend more. Enjoy your life. The money is there. The incentive structure usually points in the opposite direction. That's not a conspiracy. It's just incentives. And once you understand the incentives, you start taking back control. But the real shift has nothing to do with money. It's about identity. For 40 years, you were someone who accumulated. And that version of you mattered. That person built the safety and stability you have today. But retirement asks for a different identity now. Someone who also knows how to use what they built. The transition from accumulator to intentional spender is the real work of retirement. And almost nobody prepares you for that work. Now at least you know it exists. So it's not that you have a money problem. It's that you have a thermostat that never got recalibrated for the season you're actually living in now. And from this point forward, whenever you feel resistance to a purchase that logically makes sense, you're going to recognize what's happening. That's the thermostat, not wisdom. An old alarm system. You built something real. The question now is, are you actually going to live inside what you built while you still can? If this video hit something real for you, leave a comment with one word. What word best describes your relationship with spending money today? I'll read every single one. And one more thing, we're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if this video helped you in any way, consider subscribing to the channel and helping us hit that goal. I truly appreciate it. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.